Can we call this meeting to order? So the first order, first of all, I want to thank all of you. Here we are. So many people get away for July 4th. We are doing this at 5 o'clock this evening. So I can't believe the participation we have. I want to thank each of our members for taking the time to do this. This is really, really great. So I appreciate it. Tom appreciates it. But we're also going to try to move this along so that Gina doesn't get too hot while sitting outside. And, you know, poor Kelly isn't going to have to walk across the bridge in the dark. All right. So can we have then we have the minutes of the May 2020 meeting. Are there any additions, deletions? If hearing none, I would ask that be placed on the record. Look at that. I love getting through stuff.
Dave, we just need to do a roll call for Heather and for the viewers who's on.
All right, so ready, let's do this. All of us are looking at each other. David Bush is on the call. Heather?
And we have Gina Morgan.
Gina Morgan is on.
We have Kelly Kearney. We have Lori Coppinger.
Here.
We have Sarah Kramer.
Here.
We have Rachel Wellman. And last but not least, we have, there he is. There's Jerry. Thank you. Jerry. So everybody who is expected to be here is here. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, guys. All right, so I think really probably our biggest order of business is our first item on the agenda. And as I look away, sorry, but I'm reading the agenda. So there's a number of commissions that have been asked by the Board of Selectmen to review the proposal of open space acquisition, i.e. the Meadowood spot or site as they refer to it. And we are one of those commissions. It's actually interesting. We are the last commission to actually be acting on this. This has been, ready, Tom? Make sure I hit it all. Open space has hit it. Historical Commission has hit it. Conservation has hit it. They all approved it. Zoning was a 3-3 split based on some issues of affordable housing, but that's their job. They have a different look at it than the rest of us. Tom, is there any other commissions that have looked at this?
No, that's everybody. And after our referral goes to the Board of Selectmen, the Board of Selectmen will then take it up, I believe, at their next meeting. They'll recognize that all the letters have come back to all the referral letters have come back, and they'll decide what steps are next in the process from there. Okay. But I do have a PowerPoint presentation that I would like to take you through. It was in your packet, but for the viewers at home, we should go through it.
Take charge.
All right. Give me 1 second. You're going to see it pop up in just a minute.
I love that you're becoming the expert in Zoom.
Don't go and jinx it. So
you're right.
Okay. So is everybody seeing the Meadowood screen?
No,
right now.
Yeah. I'm not. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
Okay.
There it is.
Let's see if this is going to work. So there's your main screen. This process started with discussions back in prior to about the holiday season. The Trust for Public Land had heard from Griffin Realty that they were interested in seeing if the town was interested in purchasing this property, formerly known as the Meadowood development. So Trust for Public Land contacted the town, and at that point, it was Board of Selectmen was notified about this, and then it was determined that the steps would be going through the boards and commissions. But I'll take you through this. I'd say get my screen to advanced here. 1 second. There we go. It's taking a little bit behind. I'm a little bit behind. As my screen changes, it takes a second for the Zoom feed to change over. The Trust for Public Land. There's some stats about their organization, founded in 1972, based in San Francisco. They basically, their motto is land for the people. So they look for opportunities to preserve and enhance public spaces. And this is what they're trying to do with this one. If you remember, if you've been in town for a little while, the Ethel Walker Woods project, they were instrumental in helping the town acquire that property. And basically what they will do is they try to set up partnerships between grant agencies, state-funded agencies, and the local municipalities to be able to pay for these. And they certainly realize that it's a large endeavor in many cases. And I'm not wondering, my screen's not changing here.
So here, Tom, my just suggestion would be that I know that this has been posted on numerous sites. So if you feel comfortable, I would have you just summarize what the content is, because this has been available, and you tell me I'm wrong, but it's been available, on so many sites in so many different ways.
Yep. So the big highlights are, it's right now that land's agricultural. It is zoned for housing, quite a bit of housing, and some of which is affordable housing. If the town were to purchase this property through these grants, the town's share of this would be about $2.1 million. The land has been appraised at $6 million. So the remaining balance is coming from the grants that they are attempting to get through the state and other agencies. There is a historical preservation aspect to this, because it is the site where Martin Luther King Jr. spent 2 summers in Simsbury working this land. So there is some historical preservation involvement here, and possibly some of the barns on Firetown Road or the ones on Hoskins Road. One of those 2 sets of barns would be preserved in this acquisition, and there'd be money for that acquisition. There will be some passive recreation and agricultural use of the property. It's not going to be outside of the 24 some odd acres that the town is looking to purchase outside of the grant money for future athletic fields along Hoskins Road, and I'll show you that map in just a minute. The rest will be used for trails and farming, and some interpretive historical presentation, whether it's a kiosks or documentation, photos, that kind of thing, maybe historical trail. It will be pretty much as it looks now. That's what I could tell you. You won't be seeing shelters or houses or anything like that being built on it outside of that 24 acres of future natural grass fields that we're proposing. And if I can get one more slide here, it's going to come up again in a second. It gives you the outline of what the property looks like, dividing up and seeing some of the trails on there. And I am just trying to get to the spot where it shows our rec fields. Okay, it'll come up in a second. It'll hopefully catch up. But what we're thinking is we had a design, a landscape architect design a very basic 6 full-size multi-purpose fields, whether they're soccer, whether they're lacrosse, whether they're rugby. That's what we anticipate being able to put in that 24-acre parcel. We chose that particular spot because it is relatively flat. The cost to develop that land would be relatively low. It drains fairly well for the most part in that area. And it borders the open space property that we already have on that land that's behind the development where Dave lives there. It's the Clifton Drive open space.
I always wanted my own soccer field.
Yeah. So it actually blends in well.
No, Tom,
for those who, yes.
I think it's important that you educated me, because I actually asked you about another parcel of land down the road. Is there a deed restriction on any of these parcels that they cannot be used for athletic fields?
Yes, all of this land outside of the 24 acres that we are setting aside for athletic fields, which would cost the town about $500,000 is what they're thinking for that 24 acres. Everything else would be preserved farmland or very passive recreation. It cannot be developed for other town purposes unless the town chose at some point down the line to buy that land back. They basically have to pay the grant money back in order to do that. And it would be a very long process.
And just so for our commission members, some of you may have heard some comment about, well, we want to have input on where this goes, i.e. Athletic fields. And Tom did a great job of educating me of, you know what, there's a big part of this parcel that really cannot be ever used. And it makes it easier. Look at this proposal is great for farmland and trails and everything else. The smallest component is fields. So I want everyone to relax. We're going to, if fields ever are needed, we have the land. but it may never even be developed.
Correct. That's the real purpose here is that we don't have a lot of sites left in town where if we had to build out future athletic fields, but the town is still growing. As you all know, that we're one of the few towns in Connecticut that's actually still bringing in people, and the schools are projecting an increase in enrollment over the next decade or so. If future fields are needed, this would be an opportunity. We basically would have the land already in place. I think there would need to be, knowing what our finances are at this point, a large undertaking from our youth sports organizations to help fundraise for the development of that parcel. But we don't have a lot of places that are the deed restrictions don't allow us to build anywhere else. For instance, the triangle on Firetown Road, that is restricted to passive recreation, but the other side of the road is not. We would never be able to build a parking lot on the triangle. The spot where we're talking about these 24 acres, it does allow for the 6 athletic fields and a parking area of up to about 150 spaces to accommodate that use.
That's why the Clifton Neighborhood Association is going to be formed. We're going to begin with a parking charge. We're going to build a concession stand where we charge outrageous amounts for beverages. And we believe this is a great idea. And if anybody believes that's actually a factual statement, pay attention. Sorry, Tom.
So that's okay. So we all know that the park recreation maintenance staff is stressed as it is at this point. This is not something that would happen the next year, the year after, even the year after that. This is something, it's just socked away for down the road when we're ready to do this as needed. We have something that we could think about building upon. We do not have another place in town that's not in a wetland, that's not forested at this point, where it would be an ideal location. This is an ideal location for at some point down the line, if additional athletic fields are needed, we have some place to go.
And Tom,
the only other thing that you have is across from the farms over in Oak Hill Fields.
We
correct?
do. Yep.
How much land is in that particular portion?
I don't know the acreage, but the athletic fields that are there now are used by the soccer club. They will be used, I believe, again this fall. It's it does turn into wetlands beyond that.
Yeah, I know that.
So, but this is so on the next screen here, it's showing you how the financing works at this point. You see the 2.175 million from the town. That does include the 500,000 for this 24-acre parcel that we're talking about.
And Tom, if those 24 acres, if it's 10 years from now that we decide we need fields, or if we never need fields, that land just is untouched. There's no other use.
As far as being untouched, we could choose to have it hayed like it is now. Yep. So we could choose to have it do that. I wouldn't say untouched. It may be maintained in an agricultural capacity up until it's time to use it, so that it wouldn't prevent us from
farmer.
What's that, Jerry?
You could lease that to the farmer that's farming the rest of the fields there.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, you could lease it out for farmland. Okay.
We could. Yep.
No, I think the nicest thing about it is that this is a large parcel. The idea that at least a small portion is at least being considered for a future project, so that, and I'm with Tom, that if some particular association or league wants to say, gee, we want to have a home, and I know Jerry's been on this long enough that we've had certain leagues that wanted that, you can say, great, here it is. But I always envision a significant co-funding element if we're ever going to do anything.
I think that's the way it would happen. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So
anybody have any questions?
Yeah, Tom?
Oh, who was that?
All right. So then what we have been asked to do is, Tom, I want to confirm the language, is I think the language is they're looking for a positive referral from our from Park and Rec regarding the proposed acquisition. Is that correct?
They are. So the board would need to take a vote, and then that vote would be relayed in a letter by me to the Board of Selectmen.
All right. And just for the benefit of the rest of the commission members, as we said, we're the last ones. And so I just think that look at our mission, look at what we are aimed at protecting. I understand, and Jerry Wetchen brought up a really good point in an email about there is more analysis that needs to be done from a financial standpoint, but I'm just personally going to say that, from a standpoint of being a Park and Rec member of the commission, this is a really unique opportunity. And so, as we go to vote on it, I just wanted to let you folks know that I feel Tom has vetted this really well. He's attended all the meetings. He's heard all the input. I've done the same, and it really is a unique opportunity.
Dave, if I could just comment as a citizen, not that I would, I think this is a very worthwhile undertaking, but from a citizen standpoint, the town needs to provide the taxpayers with what I consider a cost-benefit analysis, because the town is currently receiving tax dollars, even though it's vacant land, on that. And also, if they were to propose and go through with housing development, there'd be significant additional taxes. However, there's a cost associated with that from a standpoint of town services, whether it be fire, police, schools, and so forth. But I just think it's very important that before this goes to the taxpayers, that the town does do that cost-benefit analysis.
Well, and Jerry, I appreciate that comment. And that's exactly what, frankly, Tom and I chatted about was I really don't think that as a Park and Rec Commission, that's our role, but it's the message that we're sending to the Board of Selectmen to say as part of the evaluation process,
Great.
there really needs to be some fiscal analysis. Because even I sent a letter in support of this, essentially saying the same thing, which is, hey, look, you know what? Great benefit from open space, but we're going to save a lot of money from having to build additional schools, sewers, and everything else. But that's their purview rather than ours.
Correct.
All right. So is there any other questions or comments before we take a vote?
I'll just put it into the record.
Yep.
One comment, just because I need to say something, but all kidding aside, I would echo the sentiments that said it's a great opportunity for the town, and these opportunities don't come along all that often. And when you have an opportunity like this, you really need to think long and hard. And clearly you guys in your attendance at those meetings have seen what the potential benefits are to the town, to the folks in the town. So I would say you guys have seen the presentations, you've seen all the data. And, at first glance, just as an outsider, it looks great. If you guys also believe it is, I would say sure looks like a winner to me.
No, thank you, Kelly. That's great input. And again, I'll commend poor Tom between having to deal with COVID and pools and CAMs, has had these ridiculous number of Zoom calls and all these different other commissions. So just while we're alive here, I want to commend Tom and his staff, but in particularly Tom.
Needs to ask for a raise.
Yeah, for doing a great job. But with that being said, because we are here in an evening meeting, let's move it along. Do I have a motion for a positive referral? Positive being we are in support of the acquisition of the Meadowood property from the standpoint of the Park and Rec Commission.
So motion.
And a second, please.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion on
Heather, that was Lori that moved it.
Yeah, Lori, then Jerry. Any further discussion? Could I please have all of you, though, because we are on a Zoom thing, can you say verbally, let's start. Heather, are you in favor? Raise your hand or turn your mic on.
Oh, Heather doesn't.
I don't count.
I'm sorry, Heather. Rachel?
I agree.
Jerry?
Yes, please.
Kelly?
Yes.
Gina?
Yes.
And Sarah?
Yes.
And David Bush votes yes as well.
And Lori, you got to ask Lori.
Oh, Lori, sorry, I missed you down there. Lori, are you in favor?
Yes.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. So the next item on the agenda is regarding some concerns we had about the restaurant vendor at Simsbury Farms. Tom, can I take the lead on this?
Yes, please.
So, as many of you know, I'm a user of the facility. We've been busier than ever as a result of COVID and a lot of other things. And I expressed to Tom, I think it was mid to late April, maybe early May, that I was concerned about where the vendor was, the level of services being offered at that time, and what was the plan. As we know, golf changed because of COVID. Ryan was kind enough to sit down with us, and we had a very direct and open meeting about our concerns and about his plans for the future, as well as his concerns coming back toward us. What I'm really, really happy to report is one of my first concerns was that there was not an adequate menu, nor was there an adequate beverage variety or service for the level of play that we were getting, which was earlier than usual. And within a relatively short period of time, I've seen a difference. And again, Sarah, I know that you're over Hot Meadow these days. I don't know how often maybe you're up there with your kids or anything else. I've been up there quite a bit. I know, Jerry, you're there quite a bit. So I thought it was a positive meeting from a standpoint of we identified some deficiencies and Ryan got his staff to react. There are a couple things that Ryan brought to us that I think were appropriate and that we should respond to. One of them in particular, Tom and I are working on, is there are restrictions on where individuals are permitted to smoke on the patio or near the patio. And I thought it was an appropriate comment that we should respond to that because of the fact that I think it's out of respect for the non-smoker that you really need to be careful and provide an adequate buffer, if you will, to one, comply with state law, but two, respect other people around you because we are busy. Tom and I have been addressing that. There were some other concerns raised that were, I'm going to call them perennial concerns that we've heard year in and year out. We expressed concern about hours of operation and staffing. And he expressed concern that, well, gee, people aren't supporting me. And I think we've come to a great understanding that I should probably send to each of you a text. My wife and I play in the Friday night couples league. And this past Friday night, there must have been 50 or 60 people playing in it. Welcome to the COVID era. And of that 50 or 60, 40 or 50 were on the patio after the round having dinner. And so I commend. He has hired new waitresses. The official menu, if you now go, Tom, can you clarify for me, is the menu posted on the website now? On his website?
It's on his website. I've sent the golf staff a note to ask them to push it out through their social media as well.
Okay, so
I got that today.
Yeah, that was one of my biggest concerns. Was as a consumer, there was a menu with like 6 items on it, and now it's a full menu. So he's done a good job of recognizing we're in the season, and done a good job of hiring new staff. Again, I told Tom a little story of, hey, look it. As long as you got staff, I understand there's a learning curve. And one of those was Friday night where he was smart. He had 2 people on, but they were overwhelmed. This was the biggest, probably the most crowded it's been. And that's fine. That's fine. That's progress. So we just really wanted to let you folks know, and I wanted to hear any input you've heard back, that we want him to be successful, but we want it to be done in a professional, quality manner. And we want to make sure that consumers who really enjoy a round of golf also can say the vendor delivered on the services that were needed. I'll finish this with, there has been one concern raised that has been brought to both Tom and my attention, that in the morning, the hours have not been consistent as to when someone's there. And I have a concern. I have a safety concern. if we aren't able to serve water or have water available on the course, which we are not, I need a vendor that either has a human being or a vending machine that will serve beverages to an outsider who didn't know that, oh, gee, I didn't bring water. I didn't bring something to drink. It is now today, 92 degrees at the height. We cannot take on the safety risk of not providing adequate service for that beverage. And that can be the most basic service as far as I'm concerned. Have somebody available starting at a designated time that is open. Because if a guy shows up here, he's got no water, and he's on the 15th hole and he passes out, that's on us because he couldn't buy something at 9 o'clock in the morning. So Tom and I are going to address that issue moving forward. That being said, I'd love to know any input, questions, comments.
I've noticed a couple of times I've been up there, we're up there quite a bit, that the consistency of being offered items is missing. One night we went up and there was no soda, none, which I thought was very strange. So we ended up, because some people didn't want to drink alcohol, and so we ended up drinking some seltzer water because that's all pretty much that they had. And then someone ordered a salad and one of the ingredients was missing. 2 weeks later, we go back up, order the salad, the same ingredients are missing. Because they didn't order them. So I do think there's a lack of consistent quality still going on. That's my opinion.
No, actually, Lori, I actually think that's appropriate. I'll just, an unnamed golfer that I play with on occasion has now tracked me down 3 separate times that a beverage listed on the beer list has consistently not been available when he's there. And it's a beverage that all of us would recognize. I'm not going to say the name because it would probably tee off that all of us would recognize is a beverage that more than one person might enjoy at the end of a round. So I appreciate your comment about what I wrote down here is consistency lacking. Is that fair, Lori?
Yes. Of standard items. I think consistency of standard items. I mean, something that it's not unique that you would expect at a restaurant. It's just something that you should expect and in any normal restaurant would be there.
Agreed.
Dave, my biggest concern is consistency of hours. Part of the contract is the golf course is open. He should be open with some modifications. I understand that. But there's no reason why at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, somebody can't be there.
No, and I echo that concern, and I think it's an appropriate thing to be raised with him. Anyone else?
How much longer is that contract in place?
Through the end of the golf season.
Yeah.
And is there last year we discussed this, what's the status of the liquor permit?
That's a good question, Kelly. I don't know the exact answer. He had applied for it. There were some holdups due to fire code restrictions and whether the restaurant could be secured. So it's kind of a combination on both of us right now. I believe he did get a provisional permit, but I don't know that for sure. I'd have to get back to you on that. I apologize for.
Okay.
No, and actually, Kelly, I think I'll
not be 100% positive.
I think he's been pretty direct with us about as we move forward. We have a couple of issues with the building that has concern with a full liquor permit. And moving forward, and frankly, moving forward through the next 6 months to a year, those really should be appropriately addressed. But we're very happy right now. He's really ramped up the beer selection. I'm not an IPA guy. If any of our commission members are, or your husbands, oh my God, this guy's got more IPAs and he knows what to do with. And then people seem to enjoy it. They really seem to enjoy the choice. So we'll work on the rest of it moving forward.
I'll just share that we were up there last week. First time I've golfed at the farms in a few years anyway. And a couple things. The after golf experience on the patio was great. I mean, it certainly wasn't 4 stars, but I thought they were attentive and I thought the food was good. I would agree to the comment that said consistency, because even within my own meal, some good, some not so good. But there's always room for improvement, right? But overall, that piece was fine. And while I'm on the topic, the course was in unbelievable shape. The person I brought in was from out of town, and he commented on the quality of the golf course being exceptional as a public course. So just thought I'd throw that out there.
Thank you. I'll relay that to the staff. Thank you.
Yeah, what great input, because that we're hearing that time and again, and so I appreciate on our Zoom meeting that's being broadcast, we get to put that out to the world.
That's part of the reason our numbers are so good.
And given the amount of play that it's seen, it's in great shape. Yeah.
Right. It was good point, Sarah. It was very busy, and the course handled the crowd well, but it also handled the play well. I didn't notice, especially, and at that point it was very dry. I didn't notice it being in bad shape from a dryness standpoint. So boy, somebody's doing some yeoman's work.
Yep.
Overnight watering.
All right, I'm going to try to keep this moving. We have the next item agenda. The agenda item is, Kelly, related to your comments about asking about whether or not we could get involved with downtown flower basket plantings. And we have some challenges, don't we, Tom?
Yeah, we do. So, Kelly, do you mind if I talk for a minute about it?
No, please. Actually, you run with it, Tom.
So I think what I think Kelly's looking for, and certainly Kelly, feel free to interrupt me if I'm off. He's looking for a general enhancement or beautification of downtown. It could be flower baskets, it could hanging flower baskets from the poles. It could be flower boxes. It could be even seasonal lighting, for instance. I think what he's looking for is what efforts can this board make to enhance the downtown experience. Correct, Kelly?
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
nailed it.
So what I think, as far as roadblocks, there are certainly, we have the pole banners downtown that are there now. I'm not sure if it would be feasible to have a pole banner and a flower basket on the same pole. However, right now we don't have pole banners scheduled for every pole on both sides of the road. I know particularly the west side of Hot Meadow, I don't think gets as many of the seasonal summer concert banners as the east side of Hot Meadow. So for instance, maybe we could have the pole banners do bring in a significant amount of money for Main Street. That's a revenue source for them. We use the pole banners for Simsbury Celebrates in the later fall. I think there is some interest in doing something more in the spring. So whether it's flower baskets potentially on the poles that don't have the banners, if it's flower boxes through the center, maybe along the sidewalk, that route. And then again, the seasonal lighting, which for those of you who have been around a while, we used to have on from basically early November right through January, I believe. We had the seasonal light, the poles wrapped up in the white lights downtown. I don't know if every pole was, but quite a few. I mean, somebody who has a better memory than I might be able to recall. But I at some point over the last decade or so, that went away. I know there was some interest last fall through social media of bringing those holiday lighting back, or the seasonal lighting back. Oh, the ice cream truck's going by. You can hear the music. I thought somebody's cell phone was ringing. But yeah, so there is some interest from that. What this board could do is make a resolution or recommendation today, if that's something you guys would like to do, to the Board of Selectmen, that this is something you'd like to see. And basically what I think you're doing is you're starting the ball at the top of the hill and pushing it down and seeing where this will go and where it picks up. I know that this is something the town manager is interested in, is enhancing the downtown, the look and feel of downtown. So who gets involved at this point? I think if we kind of push it toward the town manager's office and the Board of Selectmen, and see where they'd like to go with it. They know that my staff is stretched out as it is, very thin. So I don't think that they would be, necessarily looking to put more work on the park staff. But certainly it's a large community, whether it's other departments or it's other volunteer groups in town, or asking for a group of people who would be interested in this. It's got to start somewhere. And I think what Kelly was trying to do by putting this out there is to get that ball rolling.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was trying to do. And, before we take any kind of a motion or make a motion or adopt it, I guess, especially so that I don't look like an idiot and we take a vote and I get voted down. What's the sense amongst the board members? What's the, is that something that, if we came up with a broad enough resolution or message that just said that we were in favor of the town manager pursuing a downtown beautification initiative, something like that, is that broad enough?
I think that's a great idea. I love the idea about the baskets, but I understand the difficulties of watering and maintaining the baskets. I think beautifying the downtown is a wonderful idea.
Yeah, I agree. I love the idea for the stretch going up the farms. I love the baskets, and same thing. I understand the troubles with the banners and such, but maybe even planters on the ground or something. The flowers make a huge. Just a little bit of color makes a big difference, and maybe to even for the summer to push things along. The statues, which I won't say anything about, but the statues seem to be bringing in a lot of people again. I see people when I'm in the center of town. There are people from not here walking through the center of town with those maps in their hands, and we're bringing people
They're
in.
sculptures, not statues.
We have sculptures. Sculptures. Anyway, people come to see them. A lot of people come to see them, and we have people in town, and we could make very easily. It would be nice to have the town look prettier than it even. It looks nice, but even prettier than it does. And we definitely have some eyesores along that same stretch. But something as simple as some flower baskets, no matter how we get them, I think would make a huge difference.
Yeah, I think this falls under the culture part of Culture Parks and Rec. So I think it's starting in the right place. I think it's a good idea that Kelly is bringing forth.
Agreed.
I think a good project for the Winterset Lane Homeowners Association.
Well, once the Clifton group is set up, we can use it as a template.
They can use their revenues.
Have that financing.
That's right. There you go.
It might be something they can work with the businesses in downtown, that maybe they would
Make it like a competition.
initiate to take care of what's ever in front of their business and maintain it. Yeah, make it like a competition of who has the nicest spot or something like that.
Okay.
Without wanting to slow it down, I do think because of the interaction with other organizations in town, I think I might encourage us to say, this is a great conversation, but Kelly, I'd like to have a conversation with you, with me, with Tom, and any other commission member off of Zoom, where we could have a little bit more of a game plan about approaching the other shareholders that are already involved, and then figuring out what might be a nice broad recommendation like you're suggesting. Are you comfortable with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you said, the best thing we can do is come up with something that everybody's comfortable with and everybody feels, is reasonable and effective, right? So rather than rush into something that's not necessarily vetted, Dave, I'm fine with that. Absolutely.
No, because it's a great idea, Kelly. And it's a great conversation to have. I was even going to bring up, all right, if we run into a roadblock down in Main Street, if you will, is this something that we transfer to the farms? Whereas you come in, you've got the welcoming baskets, you got a welcoming banner or something like that. But I think to me, it felt like it needed a little more time, a little more vetting. And Lord knows, a lot of us have a little more free time, except for Tom, of course. So maybe Kelly, you and I.
Sounds good.
Is anybody else interested, though, in sitting in on another Zoom call or a meeting about this?
I would.
Virtually.
Yes, I would be.
Look at all the hands going up.
And we'll make it quick too, right, Dave? We're going to be really quick with our really tight agenda.
That's why you're in charge, Tom.
Heather, did you get all the names of everybody?
Tom's too busy. That's right. Tom's too busy. So Kelly will be in charge.
Great.
All right, let's move this on.
Trying to get our golf pro on the call here.
Okay, and it's okay if he's not quite. Is he on yet? Nope.
He's not, but he will be shortly, so we could skip an item and come back.
Let's go to public parks and facilities.
So, yep, give me 1 second. Let's get back on there. Okay. So while we're waiting for John Berengi to log in, I just want to give you a quick update on where we are. As you know from the news, things have, at least in Connecticut, things are opening up and have been over the last month since we last met. I'm happy to report that playgrounds and our outdoor basketball court will be opening. Outdoor basketball courts will be opening Monday, July 6th. You heard it. You heard it here.
Yay!
first.
Finally.
So we will be putting some with the recommendation of the Farmington Valley Health District. Each of these facilities will be opening up with some signage about reminding about hand washing, hand sanitizer, social distancing where possible, obviously on the playgrounds and basketball court. But it's something that we've been getting a lot of calls about for the last, I would say it's probably ramped up about a month ago and has really kind of continued to get louder. The calls gotten louder and louder over the last couple of weeks. But the health district feels with on July 6th, the sport restrictions on basketball and football are lifted per the governor's guidelines. So that is the appropriate time to open up the playgrounds and the basketball courts. And those will remain open as long as, we're still trending in the right direction. If things start to backslide like they have in other parts of the country, it may be necessary to close them again. I certainly hope that is not the case, that we can get through this without having to do that, but just something to be aware of. We have continued to see a large crowd at the pool since we opened on June 20th. We are still running the 2 public sessions every day, and when the weather has cooperated, those public sessions have been at 75% capacity or more. Most days it's been sold out. Our season pass holders have been taking advantage of that 24-hour period to reserve their spots in the next day's session. And there have been a few days where we've been able to get some non-residents in. Every lap swim has been sold out. The wading pool swims at Memorial Pool have been very well attended within our limits, of course. And we have started allowing the youth sports groups such as Little League, Simsbury Soccer Club, the collegiate baseball organizations, the Babe Ruth organizations. They are all playing again at Memorial Park and have been since just about June 20th or so. So even if you were to go up there tonight, there's two games scheduled for the big field at Memorial Park. Softball is up there. And so, yeah, I think the skate park opened up last Monday. So that's another, we're pretty much with the playgrounds opening up on Monday, and the basketball courts will be at full opening again. Again, with restrictions at the pool, but full opening. The golf course is, as you hear from John in a minute, has continued to do fantastic throughout the spring. And the staff, both at the golf side, the golf maintenance staff, the pro shop staff, and the park staff and our lifeguards. I can't thank our lifeguards enough for what they've been able to do in keeping our pools open and safe for everybody that's been coming up there, especially through the heat the last couple of weeks. So they're doing a fantastic job, and let's hope when we meet again on July 23rd, I can continue to tell you everything's still open and will be open for the remainder of the summer. Any questions?
Tom, question on, let's say the playground, the basketball court. Are we supplying any kind of hand sanitizer out at the location?
We are not, and we wouldn't really be able to do so. It just, you can't monitor if it runs out. We don't have park rangers who are out there checking. We don't have gate attendants, but there will be signage at each of the playgrounds affixed to be close to the opening as possible. That reminds folks about social distancing and basically saying that we do not sanitize these surfaces. And that's something they should consider before going. If they find it's crowded, the signage also notes that if it is crowded, maybe they should consider coming back a different time. And to, if possible, bring their own hand sanitizer to those. And we'll push that out through social media as well on Monday when the announcement goes out.
Perfect.
And Tom, how's the compliance going with people confirming their pool reservations? I've noticed a couple emails coming out reminding people to do that.
Yeah. So what we were seeing, Gina, that's a good question. So what we were seeing over the first week to 10 days is we had up to let's say 180 spots or 185 spots available for any particular session. And what was happening is we were selling that session out online. And then we were getting people coming to the pool saying whose name wasn't on the list. and what was happening is they started their registration and didn't finish it. So they never got to like the payment screen or the checkout screen. And so that's why we started sending out the reminders, and we've added some prompts in that registration process now that, as you get through it, a little window pops up or question or statement says, please be sure that you finish the process. Or if you haven't gotten an email confirmation at the end, that means your name is not on the list and you need to go back and try it again. That all important email confirmation, our system, as soon as the checkout button is hit, within a minute, that customer should get a email confirmation back, letting them know that they're reserved in that whatever time slot that is. But there was a little bit of a learning curve, and we realized that going through. So what we did is we lowered our capacity a little bit to account for the first week or so for those people who maybe not or didn't do the registration correctly. As I was telling Dave and Kelly earlier, the wheels, the training wheels should be off the bus by now, off the bike by now. So from this point going forward, if their name isn't on the list, then we're not going to be able to allow them into the pool.
Mhm.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
I found the process really straightforward. I took my daughter this afternoon for the first time and there were no problems. So I thought it was very well set up.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
And Rachel, was it?
It's been evolving. What was that?
Rachel, was it user friendly for you and your daughter? In other words, the experience once you're inside, worked well?
Yeah, I thought it worked really well. Yeah, they were very organized. I felt like everyone was complying with the rules. It was very helpful to have everything online so I knew what to expect before going. And yeah, I thought the staff were just great. I mean, you show up and it's very easy at the window, and then they have people there to lead you to your spot. So there's no guessing around or looking for, where's spot number 6. They just walk you there. I thought it was great.
Well, so Tom, that's just great input. I didn't realize, for example, that you were still able to walk. You had enough staff. You were walking people to their spot.
Just spoil people.
Yeah, we actually brought in because the spots, they're sized differently depending on the size of your family. So we thought it would be best to have take out the confusion and have people, instead of having people wander around the deck looking for a particular spot. Now we basically have a valet taking them to their spot and parking them. So
Yeah.
Great.
It's worked out well. John Tebow and his lifeguard staff have done a fantastic job getting this thing up and running.
No, great job, and kudos to their staff.
Fixing the bumps in the road.
Yeah, good job. So I see Johnny Varange is on with us. Want to turn over to Simsbury Farms and the golf course?
Sure. Another great month. I know some of you guys got the reports yesterday from the June report and then from the fiscal report. And I did talk to Tom about trying to get some information on the reports for the fiscal year. I do not have those for the previous year, so I think we're going to go over that. But it's got to be one of our highest that we've ever done. We went over $1 million. I think it was $1.7 million for the fiscal year. So I've never seen anything like that. So I think between the pre-sales pass from last year when we did it in August, and now just having a sensational year, it's been unbelievable. So yeah, the course is in great shape. Mike and his staff has done a great job. Mark started his junior camps this week. They went out great. He had 10 in his camp with 3 instructors. And we did a 3-day camp with them, and everything went perfect. So in my stance and what we're doing up here, everything has been working tremendous, and looks like for the next 2 weeks, we're pretty much booked up like we've been the whole year. So I don't see it changing, hopefully in the near future.
That's great.
And just to go ahead, Tom.
Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
And the good thing about that was that this is June and September are usually our big outing months. So we get a lot of pre-booked tournaments. And I know I think it was 5 or 6 since the end of May that did not do it this year. So to keep those numbers without having those outings really kind of it was kind of amazing. So just love to see everything just keep on going the same way.
John's not giving you the full he's not complimenting himself, but not enough of a pat on the back. I want to let you know, May and June were the two busiest back-to-back months in at least the last 20 years. They went over $100,000, actually over $106,000 in each of those months. That hasn't happened before. I went back.
The two largest revenue months ever.
They've done a fantastic job, and with all that revenue comes a lot of hard work in processing all those people through the door, so to speak. So kudos to John and his staff. They really make it happen. They make the user experience a fantastic one for everybody up there, along with Mike Wallace and his staff.
Mike and Brian and everybody. Everybody has done a really good job, and it's not easy. It feels like it's September for us, how busy we've been. But it's I think everyone's on the right mindset. We got to keep it going and take our break sometime in November.
Yeah, so John, I just want to compliment you. I think one of the things I'm most impressed with is, we're all supposed to be doing the social distancing. As I even approach the window, you've been really consistent about having a staff member at the window ready to go. Mm-hmm. So whether I'm buying a bucket of balls or I'm getting a carton around, I'm being greeted immediately. And therefore, there isn't a line of 5 or 6 people behind me, not sure what to do. Mm-hmm. And I just really thought that method of operation has been really, really effective.
And I agree, Dave. And I think I talked to Tom 2 weeks ago, I think it was, Tom. And I know the CSGA brought out different guidelines that we could start doing. There's open and approach shop, 2 people on a cart with mask, rakes in the bunker. Don't know if water on the golf course was part of that. And I was kind of excited about going. And after talking to a lot of the people that play up here, they weren't too excited about it. And I think, we kind of got to feel what makes them comfortable up here. And I think one person on a cart kind of makes them comfortable. Again, a lot of our play in the weekday are senior people. So we've kind of got to be wary of what they think. And then I came back to Tom and I said, you know what, we're not going to change. We still going to keep the same thing. People like it. They feel safe. So why try to change something? If we're running out of carts and other things, when tournaments start to happen and shotguns start to happen, there will be a little bit of a change. But I think the people in the tournaments know that when that comes up. But the way that it is right now, I think people really like it and they feel safe. And I think that's why we're getting the business that we are getting.
Well, then, John, you then hit one thing I already had written down was, is there then a designated timetable to maintain? I understand if you're a family, you can drive together on the cart, but are you like saying, hey, look, we're going to reevaluate this end of July, or is there you just want to leave it?
Yeah, I mean, I agree, Dave. When I talked to Tom, I think the biggest thing is the hole or the cups, the rakes, and then the carts. I think those are the 3 biggest things. Will we evaluate? We have 60 golf carts. We really, when we say run out, the guy may have to wait 5-10 minutes, but maybe that's once a week or twice a week just because it's busy up here. I don't consider that a problem. If you're running out and guys are waiting 25-30 minutes to get a tee time because they want to they want to ride, then I got a problem. But I haven't seen that. So I don't think we need to change just yet, just because, everybody else is doing or the CSGA says it. I think if people feel more comfortable with what they're doing right now, it may be the whole year we stick with this whole thing. As long as I have the carts and they're running, I don't have a problem with one person taking a cart. And it's going to be very, very hard, at least staff-wise, when that person comes down and goes, listen, I don't feel comfortable going 2 people in a cart. I want my own cart. Now, over at Guinea, I know some guys played there the other day, and some guy that wanted their own cart had to pay $36 compared to $19. So, right. Do you want to have that kind of, public relation with the public, going after that? I don't think so. And the numbers that we show, I don't think that's something we want to do at this time or ever. But, like I said, there's going to be a time, hopefully we can get through the year and maybe hopefully the start of next year, we go back to what's kind of normal, because it is taking a wear and tear on carts and it is using a lot of gas. And, it is for my staff doing, 60 carts a night instead of 35 or 40 makes a big difference.
Well, it seems like what you're doing is working, right? I mean, the proof is in the numbers, so people are appreciating that. So thank you so much, John, and great
My
job.
pleasure. My pleasure.
I think-
Staff, yeah, that goes to the staff and Mark and Karen and Tim and everyone that works here, and they know the operation, they know the plan, and they're always out to execute it for the town. And that's what I kind of like about my guys is that they take the towns first, and then they think of everything else that comes with it. So we want to make sure that the rules of the town are there first, and we obey them, and then we can go off from there. But they have they've been there a long time, and they know what to do, and they know how to handle it.
John, has our new point of sale system facilitated check-ins versus if we had easy links?
People still have to check in here. I think it's better on the online and getting online. So I know Sarah knows this from being in the ladies league. We went to where the ladies league, and we've only done it for the ladies league, is they have to go online to sign up for their tournaments. And we wanted to kind of make them not the guinea pigs, but kind of the guinea pigs, and seeing how that would go, especially with only usually having one person at the register and then and answering the phone and getting tea times and doing this and trying to help this guy. And I mean, I know Sarah could probably talk about it. It's, at first it was a little difficult, but I think once people got used to it, they could get the times that they wanted to get. So it has helped. The system has helped. And we love it. I mean, it's easy to work through, and we're not giving up tea time. So this is, perfect year not to have them.
That's a good point, John. Really good point.
Yeah, that would be 800 tea times that you didn't get paid for.
That's correct.
So Sarah, any comment? I mean, has it worked well for you folks?
Yeah, it's got some pluses and minuses. Definitely ease of use is great. There's a couple of little quirks that you can't see who you're signing up with.
That's what I've heard.
Or how many. So there's, when you get up to the course, you have an 8-10 time, but you don't know who you're with, and there's no way to see that. So,
right.
And you don't, if you sign up as a single, you don't know if you're going out as a single or you're going to be with 3 other people or who they are. So those kind of things, and you don't know if there's some,
right.
Like you said,
and I agree with you.
And hopefully we can kind of tweak.
I agree with you. Yep. And I think that's something that we talk to them about and see how we can, maneuver that a little bit better. Or if it doesn't, if people don't like that, I have no problem going back to the way it was. Where you guys signed up in the locker room or signed up out in front. And I just think, this year we kind of wanted to stay away from touching things.
Yep.
If it comes to a point where we go back to it, I don't have a problem with that at all.
Well,
I think
it's really great. It's nice to be able to go online, and I'm all for the technology. I think it's much easier. It saves having to call and cancel and not get through, and that's a lot of frustration. So my guess is that I'm thinking even if we look at it and find a way to kind of tweak around some of those things,
I agree.
We're good guinea pigs. I think we can
Yeah.
we can figure those little things out, because it's certainly easier, and it's never been easier to make a time, come up, swipe your card, and get right out on the course. You can do it all in like 30 seconds, and you're out on the course.
Yep.
And it's been super speedy and really efficient this year.
Yep, I agree.
John, a question I had was, what can we do about getting either on the carts or on the course the dirt and seed mixture? I realize that it may be problematic in a par 3. Nobody wants to be touching the same scoop.
Mm-hmm.
But as they, if we have the containers on the cart and the cart gets sprayed, can we get those back on there, or are they on there?
Well, they are not on there. And I can check onto that. I think that's a kind of thing for Tom also, if he feels comfortable with the town kind of saying, okay, we're going to put these back on there. And you're right, they do get sprayed or they get washed at the end of the night, so there really shouldn't be a problem. They are outside all the time too. But it's just like the rakes, the same thing. We would like to have the rakes out there, but they want us to clean them at least 3 or 4 times a day, and Mike just doesn't have the personnel to do that, especially on a weekend. So that's why you don't see the rakes out there for the bunkers. But I think it's time that we take a look at that and see what we can get some, because it does help with repairing divots and stuff like that. And I think that's something we look into.
Well, and again, I'm totally in favor of keeping the rakes off, keeping the ball washers off.
Mm-hmm.
What I've seen is, and John, I've commented to you on it, was that some of our population is not very good at bending over and picking up their divot. And we need to make it as easy as possible for folks. But now here's my concern for you is that what my expectation would be from a safety standpoint is it's your staff as they've gone to wash the cart or clean it. They're the ones filling up the container at the end of the night. So at the start of the day, it's ready to go. Is your staff capable?
Well, I think we could do the other. We do have those slots that we used to have out there, Dave, where guys could go over there and get them.
Yep.
And Mike was always good, and his staff was always good for coming up basically at the beginning of the day and filling as much as they can with those things. And then kind of like the pull carts, like after they're used, then go, they put them back or whatever, and we clean them off that way, then just leaving them on a cart. I think, if they want to take one and they feel comfortable, it's up to them to do it. But don't make it kind of mandatory by just putting them on the cart and seeing what the guys do. But I think if we put them out there for people to take, I think people will take them. I agree.
You hit it. And I'm one of those people that I I walk mostly, but I would grab one of those or two of those. And happy. In other words, it's kind of like the old happy to help out. So
Yep, I agree. We can start bringing it if Tom's comfortable with it and doing that. I know it's around the pro shop, so it's very easy to spray them when they come back in.
Any other questions for John? Well, John, you're kind of your staff and Mike and his staff are our heroes this year. I see the numbers, and it's just
it's our job. That's what I signed up for. I'm glad it's busy. I'm glad the town's doing well, and we're all one team. So if we all do well, it works out for everybody.
All right. Well,
all righty, guys.
Well, your staff do well. Thank you, John.
You bet. Have a good 4th of July, guys.
Don, thank you.
You bet.
All right, Tom, how about back to you?
So I've already kind of hit on this a little bit, but let's go through very, very quickly. And I know we're in the dinner hour now. So 2020 summer 2020 day camps. We have camp stuff to do, which is 60 kids up at Memorial Park. They're up there from 8 in the morning till about 4 in the afternoon. We are doing the temperature checks for our staff and for the kids every day upon arrival. We basically have 6 mini camps of 10 operating up there per the state guidelines and for social distancing purposes. They're doing a fantastic job. It's great. As you know, last week, our first week, it was very, very hot. They made it through. They're staggering pool times. And after the first couple of days of making sure groups weren't passing too close to each other, coming in and out of the pool or restrooms, we kind of got those kinks worked out. And, there was some first day hiccups with pickups and drop-offs at the, parents not sure exactly which of the 6 spots to go to. They didn't see a sign that said number 1 or whatever. We got past those, and it seems to be working very, very well. After the first couple of days, we basically sold out our remaining spots for the rest of the summer. So those people who were there that first week felt very comfortable with what they saw as we progressed. And we did have an art camp at the Apple Barn last week, limited to 15 people, each kid at a different table. That went very well, and we've sold out that same camp in August already. We have a Lego camp next week in the Apple Barn. So those things are coming up. We had baseball camp for 40 kids last week at Memorial that I was told went great by the instructor, and we'll have another baseball camp at the end of the summer. So overall, we're probably operating camp-wise at about 1/3 of the capacity we normally would be overall. Normally there's a full day camp and an adventure camp and the junior kids camp and 1 or 2 either a sport camp or a cultural camp. So we're probably doing about 1/3 of what we normally do through the summer. But this is the reality we're living in, and we're making the best of it and trying to provide those opportunities for people where they're looking for them. And I can't say enough about the aquatic staff and the camp staff, how well they've adapted to this new reality and the new rules and policies that have been put in place, not only to keep them safe, but the campers and our swimmers as well. So our swim lessons have been doing very well with the social distancing. They are selling out for the limited spaces we do have. They are selling quickly for the back half of the summer. And as I told you before, the daily admissions at Simsbury Farms Pool have basically been full since we started on Saturday the 20th. There, as long as Mother Nature cooperates with the weather, which the last couple of evenings with the thunder has kind of put a little kink in our schedule. But but I would imagine that, with the good weather, we'll continue to be full. And we have had no complaints that I am aware of somebody not feeling safe or comfortable in coming into or out of the facility or their time. Again, we're working out the registration issues that we're aware of and that we're hearing. But from an on-deck perspective, those of you who have been there have seen it, and the feedback that we've been getting, not only from the members today, but the public that I've heard has been fantastic. So hopefully we'll keep that up. And again, as long as the governor doesn't see a trend or backslide in Connecticut, I think we'll stay open through the summer. But I'm cautiously optimistic. If we have any kind of an incident that other states are having, I don't hesitate to think that our state leaders will clamp things back down, and certainly pools or playgrounds could be quickly closed down to keep in their judgment to keep everybody safe. So hopefully I said that politically correct. So any questions on camps or aquatics? No. All right.
Well, just a quick one on the camps and all is, again, has anyone come to you and said, gee, I'm concerned about the lack of sanitation, or what's the protocol? Because my understanding is it's really run just like it's supposed to.
Yeah, we basically developed our protocols before the state put theirs in place. And to be honest with you, I think our protocols were shared with our local health district and then shared to the state. So I think that's where a lot of the state guidelines came from, and basically what we were using it. So we didn't have to adapt at the end of June when those guidelines came out. But I think, we've purchased a lot of stuff, new equipment as far as foggers and misters and sprayers to spray disinfectant and clean our restrooms and our hand railings. They're doing a fantastic job with it. My opinion is, or my perspective, I haven't heard any negative feedback about someone not feeling safe in the facility. And it's all been very positive. I would certainly be forthcoming if that wasn't the case. But we certainly rely on you folks who are either at the golf course or at the pool, or even again at the restaurant or on a trail. If you see something that looks out of place, please give me a call. And certainly we appreciate the positive feedback when it's necessary too, or when you have it. But we'll react as need be through the summer and adapt to any new guidelines that are put in place.
Tom, we had talked about you getting in front of the Board of Selectmen to educate them on everything that you and your staff have done across the board: golf, camps, aquatic. Is there any thought you have? I realize it's summertime. You don't want to be spending too much time in a BOS meeting.
No, I can appreciate that. The board of Selectmen, and we did talk about that, and I'm sure the staff, they would love to hear. I talk to the town manager on a daily basis, and she updates them on what we're doing and what they're seeing out there as well. And I know we've had some, again, some of the Board of Selectmen families there at the pool as well, and out in the parks. But there's 2 meetings this summer, one in mid-July and one in mid-August. And at some point in one of those 2 meetings, I believe that we'll have some kind of an update on what the parks are doing. I thought it was important to wait to get us through those first couple of weeks so we can see how things are actually working before we go and report in, hey, everything's great. Well, let's make sure everything's great before we do that. So, and it is that the staff has worked, the process and the plan have both worked.
All right. We want to make sure you and your staff get the recognition you deserve. So
I appreciate that, but we do it because we want to do it, and we want to keep people safe, and this is why we got into the business. So again, right. Adaptation. It's all about adaptations, and we're doing well.
You got it. All right. The lighting and fiber optic project.
All right. Home stretch here. The much talked about road lighting and fiber optic project that is scheduled to go out to bid at some point in July. So I would think if we're out to bid in July, you would start seeing work at some point mid to late September, early October. This isn't a project that's going to be going for weeks and weeks and weeks. It's pretty much an in and out project. It should move very, very quickly. We did have some hesitation about trying to get it done during the summer, but as COVID has slowed everything up in the world outside of Simsbury Farms, it's slowed up the world outside Simsbury Farms and in Town Hall. Meeting with the consultants and the engineering staff, everything takes place, in Zoom now, and site visits are tough to put together. But the consultants the town hired is Ben Zelm out of Farmington. They're a great outfit. They've done good work for us in the past. They're also doing our work on the ice for the site well. But they will have the bid specs done. And if they're not done already, they'll be done in the next week or so and out to bid again, mid to late month of July. And we should see construction come the fall and be well done before the ice rink.
There you go. Any questions in regard to that?
And that'll deal with our Comcast lines to the golf course?
Yes, Jerry. So right now, for those of you who don't know, we have a Comcast line coming into the apple barn, and that through antennas is relayed to Simsbury Farms main building, and then relayed from Simsbury Farms main building to our pro shop. So as you can imagine, there's some degradation with that over the line, and it's also not consistent when we have some wet weather that we've noticed. So that fiber line is going to be coming into the main building, and it's still either going to be connected to the pro shop, or we're going to bounce one signal from the main building to the pro shop. And they've assured us that we wouldn't see any drop off there. That fiber line is basically what our schools in town and our town hall get their internet from. So it certainly enhances us from my perspective. I'll be tied into town hall through my phone line and through my internet. So from a networking perspective, it's great for us, because right now we don't have a way to back up. Say for instance, we had a disaster at the main building at Simsbury Farms. We have an in-house network that would be lost. Going through town hall, all of our work and our files would all be saved to the servers at town hall, which, from a security perspective, makes things much more secure. And we have just a built-in backup down there as well through the town hall server backups. So we're looking forward to that. Just the phone connection alone would be amazing. Any of you who have tried to talk to me on the phone at Simsbury Farms, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Now, Tom,
it's not what a professional organization should sound like.
If you have a problem at the main building, the signal strength isn't good enough from the apple barn to the pro shop, right?
Correct. If there was an issue, I mean, we've had relatively, I'm knocking on wood here. We've had a relatively good spring with the internet. The phone has been a little off at times, but I think to my perspective, it's more the phone than the internet that we've had an issue with. But both of these issues will be fixed when this line comes in and gets connected. So hopefully by the start of the ring season, we'll be done. And certainly, we'll get through the rest of the golf season, hopefully without any other issues. But it'll be an improvement. It also saves us money too down the line. We won't be paying a monthly Comcast bill for the maintenance garage and the line coming into the apple barn. We can at least drop one of those lines, or drop to a lesser cost as it having just a backup line. So I could tell you with the lighting project, and I don't want to run on too long, but many of the light poles that will be put in will have the outlets on them for if we have an event in the parking lot, a vendor event per se, or even the holiday lighting that we talked about before downtown. It would allow us to add that amenity, add that aspect of decoration, I guess, to our poles coming up the hill and through the main parking lot. I don't think we'll have outlets on every outlet going all the way up through the exit road or through the golf parking lot. I don't think it's necessary. But for at least the main, where the seasonal lighting would be more important, would be the up the hill and through the main parking lot.
It'll be nice to have an adequate number of lights.
It'll be LED lighting, a huge cost saving for us there, and an adequate number of light poles. It is for everybody except for Lori. It's extremely dark up there.
I hate
And I
it.
just wanted to officially say that I'm looking forward to the decorative light poles that are going to be there, Tom.
Yeah.
We're going to put Kelly.
Well,
So the poles,
He's going to be the chairman of the decorative light pole.
yeah, Kelly's just twisting the knife on the light pole
The
thing
new
with me today.
subcommittee.
The new poles, there's the light supposed to, he said, shine
The light
down.
poles that we're putting in, they will be steel. I lost you, Lori. Sorry.
He said that the new bulbs, when I talked to the guy down at Public Works, said that the light will not be like it is now, which is like shines out in all directions. He said it'll shine down, so it should be better.
It should. And actually, another thing, Lori, that you you would find good is these LED lights allow us to have a dimmer switch on them. So
Oh, good.
we from a phone, for instance, we can actually dim the lights. So we most likely won't be running them at full blast unless you complain a lot, and then they will go at full blast. But typically they'll be at
So, Lori,
75%.
Just don't give Lori the code.
Right. You better watch out. If you complain too much, next thing you know, these things are on 10 out of 10 and they're toward your house.
She could tan in her front yard at 10 p.m.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, our bedroom window looks right at the light. It's just like right there. Perfect eye level.
So, but these lights do allow us to have a dimmer switch if we want to dim it for any event or whatever reason. They are LED. Just like at home on a Christmas tree or tree, if one goes out, they all don't go out. So they're actually on a wireless mesh network from pole to pole. So we can turn ones down and I believe turn some up. We'll have 3 zones.
Like the kids
it's a field round pole. Yeah, we'll see about that. But they are on the poles we're using. It is a commercial pole. It's round. It's steel. It would allow us at some point down the line to put the pole banners on some of them if we like, or even what Kelly's, the flower baskets. I hate to put Kelly on the spot for that, but if we want to do the flower baskets in the main parking lot or something, we could do that with these poles. It doesn't preclude us from doing it. You're just not seeing that decorative molded pole that's along Hot Meadow Street. Those along the sidewalk. These are maintained. These are specifically designed for parking lots and those kind of things.
I can't wait for the police report in the local paper that Kelly Kearney is caught decorating poles at the Simsbury Farms with flashing lights, and Lori is the one that turned them in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, if I'm synonymous with flowers, nothing wrong with that, right?
How about the update on the master plan?
Yes. So at the conclusion of this meeting, all of you will get the most current revised draft of the Parks and Open Space Master Plan. I will be sending it out to both your commission as well as the Open Space Committee. As you know, there's a meeting scheduled for Friday, July 17th at 10:30. It's a joint meeting of both of your commissions, and it'll be a presentation run by our consultants. So you'll get that today. It is a very large document. I don't suggest printing it, and I'll put that. I already put that in the email that I'm going to send out. If you need a hard copy of it, please let me know, and I will try to get you one next week. If you need that, if you can't review it digitally. But if you have any comments or questions, please send them to me by email. That way I have a record of it, and I can forward it on to the consultant so that they know the questions that the group is looking for. They can hopefully answer those for you either before or during that presentation. But this would basically be the last stop. We'll give them some feedback in that before and after that presentation, and they'll take that feedback, and that'll go into the final draft that's presented to the Board of Selectmen either in late August or probably more at this point, the September meeting.
Have you forwarded all my spell checks and grammatical checks to them already?
Yours and mine, Jerry.
Okay, good.
Yours and mine. So I will, as soon as at the conclusion of this meeting, like I said, I'm going to send that out. Again, it's very large. We have quite a few appendices in it, but take a look through it, see what you think. Please give me any feedback that you can. And again, I don't expect you all to be looking at this over the holiday weekend, but you should have, you'll have almost 10 business days when you get back on Monday from the holiday break. But if you have any questions or need a hard copy, please let me know. It is a draft document. It is in draft form. I ask that you don't share it when you get it. It'll be made available to the public when we release the agenda for that joint special meeting of your commissions, which again will be held by Zoom on Friday, June 30th. What's that, Jerry?
Tom, erase the old one then?
Yeah, you can erase the old one. You should, go by. It's a big document. You don't want to get lost in an old one. So use the revised.
I get lost anywhere.
But
Dave, that's it on that.
Yeah, I would encourage you. It is a really long document. However, please take the time. Part of being on this commission is you have the opportunity to have input before the public does. So the worst thing we can have is somebody come back and go, hey, I'm really unhappy about that recommendation. I didn't happen to read the document and I want to complain about it now afterwards. That's not
That hasn't happened before, has it?
Yeah. Oh, never. So I've seen it. It's ridiculously long. Take it in little chunks, or print out. If I'm a hard copy guy, I'm going to kill a couple trees, but it's worthwhile going through it. I appreciate.
Extremely well done.
Yeah, I appreciate the effort of everybody in looking at it. But with that being said, are there any questions about the master plan?
Yes. Tom, can we afford to print out a copy for me, and which I'm then happy to share with others? Is that going to go against your budget, or is it a big time consumer?
No, I can have one. As some of you know, I'm working from home this week and next week due to the travel advisory. So I will have someone either at Town Hall or Simsbury Farms print that for you on if Mondays works for you, because we're already.
That's great.
So I'll get that I'll let you know where you can pick it up, either at Town Hall or Simsbury Farms.
And Tom, let's even do this. I mean, we're volunteers. We've just volunteered our time till 6:22 tonight. Who else would like to have a hard copy of that document sent to them? Anyone?
Right now, that should not be shared with the public, though.
No,
I
send
would.
it to us. Yeah,
I would. I'd like to see it.
Okay, Lori?
Yeah.
Is it hard to follow online? Who's looked at it online? Is it easier to
No,
look at?
no.
It's okay.
It's a PDF format.
Yeah,
It's easy to look at. It's just you're committed to looking at it for a while.
Right.
There we go. Do I have a
Kelly,
motion?
Lori, I'm sorry, I missed it. Somebody else.
Lori and Kelly. Anyone else? There we
Hi, I
go.
wanted to place an order for pickup.
Motion to adjourn?
One quick second. Sorry, Dave. I forgot to mention to the group October 2nd, Mike Wallace is retiring from Simsbury Farms, and
Sure, it's Emily.
we are having a honorary he's
we'll get a
the
big one.
honoree. Excuse me, it took me a second there. He's the honoree on October 2nd at the Simsbury Farms, Friends of Simsbury Farms golf tournament. Sorry, it took me a while to spit that out, but
And that presentation
Mike Wallace
at
being
lunchtime?
honored.
Kelly, what's that date?
October 2nd.
And that presentation's at lunchtime, isn't it, Kelly?
Well, I was telling somebody earlier that that's TBD based on best practices. I don't think there'll be a dinner based
And
on
then we'll
social
get
distancing. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's going to be in the morning, but we'll finalize that as time goes on.
Okay.
Whatever comes with the two
No,
sides.
thanks for the heads up, Kelly. That's important.
Sure. Yeah. Sorry to stop the the end point here.
I have a second on that
Brussels
motion.
sprouts and coleslaw.
There we go. All right, folks. A wonderful 4th of July. Tom, thanks for your efforts, and everyone on the commission. Really, again, we took 5 to 6:25 of your evening.
Coffee now.
Thank you for your time. It's really important, and we appreciate it.
Thank
Have a
you.
nice
Don't forget to water your flowers.
All right.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Good night.